What is happening, everybody? Steve again with Rake and Profit, and I'm with my buddy Cody Hawk. Say what's up to everybody.
What's going on, guys? Cody Hawk.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a little show tonight, maybe 30, 45 minutes. We're going to keep it somewhat short tonight because Cody actually had a few little issues come up, and if you could see him right now, he's actually sitting live from his rental vehicle, and I'll let him explain that in a few minutes. But in today's show, we're going to be talking about Kindle publishing, a whole bunch of different topics, and we're also going to be spending a lot of time in the comments section as well. So if you've got any questions regarding Kindle publishing or business or anything to do with making money online, feel free to shoot us a question below in the comment section. But I'm going to pass it off to Cody. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everybody who's watching, and maybe give a little bit of information about who you are, what you do, and anything else.
What's going on, guys? My name is Cody Hawk. For those of you who don't know me, I run a YouTube channel. You can type in Cody Hawk in YouTube, and you'll see my videos. I do Kindle publishing, Amazon FBA, a lot of niche websites, internet marketing, affiliate marketing, things like that. Run, like I said, my YouTube channel. Just launched my podcast on freelancewrangler.com. So a lot of little micro businesses, and then I currently am been traveling for some business I'm taking care of. I started a media company in January, and I've had some opportunities, potentially going to be in a documentary situation. So unfortunately, with traveling, we ended up hitting some snags coming back to the West Coast. I personally live in the Spokane, Washington area, and for those of you who don't know that area, the airport is not like some of the other big airports. So I had to get a connecting flight, and if you know the airlines, they'll mess you up once in a while. So we're actually my family's inside. We're at a friend's house in the Portland area right now, and I'm sitting in a rental car.
Man, that's what I love. And we were talking before. I said, you know what, you want me to cancel the show because I felt bad that you were stuck in the car and you're working off the Wi-Fi. But I loved your answer. You said, what'd you say? This is the hustler lifestyle?
That's right. This is how we do it. I mean, I talk to clients on the road. I talk to business associates on the road. You just in this life, in this business, you just got to make things happen. That's the number one thing I see with people why they're not successful is you've got to not let hurdles get you down. I could have easily canceled the show. I could have I could have just not done anything today, but instead I chose to make something happen, like always.
Yeah, man, I've known you for, it's probably been about 5 or 6 months that we've kind of been, talking a lot. And the one thing that I really respect about you most, it's something that I've been trying to pull a page out of your book for myself is, you get things done because you want to know what in life, there's always an excuse, right? We could always come up with an excuse of why we can't do it or why we can't publish a book or, why we can't start this business or why we're not good enough. But, at the end of the day, it's really up to us, you and I as the individual, to just make it happen. And it's just a fine example right now, man. You got your family with you. You're on the road. You had some issues come up, but you're happy. So definitely appreciate you coming on and talking and helping everybody out today. But, yeah, let's go into the comments section real quick. And when I say we, I'm talking I because you're actually on a cell phone right now. So I'm going to go in the comments section, and I am going to shout some people out and give some love to everybody who has taken some time to watch this video. And also I want to ask you guys, hit the like button, show some support. That's how we know that you guys enjoy these videos and want more. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section as well. Looks like we got our main man, Dave Koziel, in the comments section. If you guys don't know Dave, man, he's doing awesome. He sells on, or he used to sell on eBay, Amazon. He's been doing Kindle publishing. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. Thanks, Dave. We got Moneymaker Justin K. I see Justin in the comments all the time, and I believe he's published his first few books. I was reading.
Yeah, two books. He said he's got 2 books live.
Yeah, he said, thanks, Cody. You're amazing. I've taken action so far and have 2 ebooks published. So good job, Justin. That's what it's all about, taking action, because a lot of people never even take the first step into it, and they say they're going to do it, they say they're going to publish, but they never do. Great job, Justin, on that. Let's see who else we got in the comments section. That's it for now, but I'll make sure to keep updating the comments. But yeah, If you got any questions, leave them below. But let's actually get into this show and start talking about some topics related to Kindle. So I've actually got some notes down here that I want to talk about. And the first thing that I want to touch on is organization in your business, because you're going to realize that once you make the transition over to an entrepreneur or a business owner, working a job, it's very important to stay organized, because if you're not organized, it's really hard to get things done. So maybe, Cody, you want to touch on maybe one or two things that you do to stay organized in your Kindle publishing business?
Yeah, the most important thing I did, and this isn't going to be helpful if you're brand new, but the most important thing I did was I hired a VA manager, somebody to manage. A lot of people do, and what I did when I first got started is trying to manage 5, 6, 7, 8 different people when it comes to writers and all these different things. You know, hiring a manager for my VAs was very important. But if you're newer, and let's say you don't have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 VAs, and you know, hiring a manager doesn't make sense, creating daily tasks. I actually did a video recently where I showed part of my calendar and kind of my daily tasks. And so make each day, like one day is a writing day, the other day maybe editing, formatting, publishing, really breaking down the tasks all in one day. Like, okay, I'm going to write it, get the cover. What you'll do is if you batch the tasks, you'll actually be more successful than if you're trying to shift gears, because you think about it, it's kind of like shifting gears as in a car. And I actually talked about this in a video I made on my channel today, how I used to be in a, sadly enough, I was in a couple of car clubs, but it's the same type of thing when you're shifting gears and, you know, from first to second, second to third, there's little bits of time there. It takes your brain time to process. So when you batch these different tasks, you'll actually get a lot more done in batches than trying to go back and forth from a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's huge. That's one thing that I struggled with when I had first gotten started. You know, I wasn't batching, so I was coming up with all, you know, maybe 5 or 6 book ideas one day, and then I was formatting the next day, and then I was jumping to, you know, editing and getting covers done. So batching is definitely huge, and it helps you to stay organized. One thing that I do to stay organized, and I'm not sure if you do this at all, is I actually have a 3-ring binder that I have, and yes, it says Kindle Publishing right on the front, and I keep everything in here, at least the stuff that I'm working on for the month. And I actually have a template that I've created. It's called my little Kindle Publishing book checklist, and it's got everything from title, subtitle, pen name, writer, cover creator, formatter, editor. Then I have a section for if I've uploaded to KDP, if I scheduled the free promo, the Copyscape Pass, which is the software I use to make sure it's original, CreateSpace, Audible, and Final Notes. So I actually have a template that I've created, like I said, that kind of helps me to stay organized. I know some people, they just kind of wing it, or they use different software like Google Docs or Google Sheets or Trello, but I found that just having a visual actually helps me out a lot. Do you use a 3-ring binder or anything like that in the physical form, or are you all like, you know, software online?
I'm primarily software online. And a quick side note, when you showed that binder, Dave Koziel started smiling ear to ear, I promise. That guy is the king of notebooks. Now, I will say I do journal stuff, and I do write a lot of things in notebooks. But, yeah, you and Dave are the king of paperwork. Me, I actually, as you know, I utilize Trello. We recently got into that in another business we do together, the Green Room, but I utilize Trello for most of this stuff, and it allows you to organize it. Now, if you're looking for something with no cost, you can actually just create a simple spreadsheet. In fact, you have created some really, really cool spreadsheets for your management. I've seen some of them that are going to be in our course. But yeah, I mean, I would at least create a spreadsheet, utilize a binder like I showed. You are right. It is nice to have something physically to see, and it really helps with the organizational process.
Yeah, because I mean, especially once you start getting more advanced and you're going past just Kindle and you're actually publishing CreateSpace and Audible and you're managing, you know, 40 or 50 books a month, if you get to that point, I find it a relief to just be able to see everything and know, like, all right, this is taken care of, that's taken care of, and it just helps. Some other really good software that you can use, free software to stay organized, is I use a lot of the Google Docs. So, like at the beginning of the month, I'll come up with all my ideas that I want to potentially create a book around for a specific keyword. So I actually use Google Docs for that. And also I use Google Sheets. I use Google Drive. So these are really awesome things that I think anybody should use in business. I know you use it as well, Cody. I know you probably use all of these, but I'm telling you, Google is coming out with some really amazing things that are going to help you and can help you to stay organized. And the cool thing with these little Google softwares is it's kind of like the cloud, right? So like if you use like Excel, you actually have to save it and you have to access that file from your actual computer. Whereas if you use any of the Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Drive, you can pretty much access it anywhere in the world. Isn't that right, Cody?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the most valuable thing. You know, if my computer crashed right now, all my stuff that's saved on Drive, like for me and you, when we put together all of our business stuff, we put together Google Docs, we put everything together in the cloud, and that way we can access it from literally anywhere in the world. And that's really valuable, like especially even if you don't travel like I do. I've been traveling a lot lately and will be, but even if you're not traveling, even if you are just trying to back things up and also sharing it, Google has made the ability to share so easy. And if you're doing business, you're probably working with virtual assistants, you're probably setting up processes, and being able to share this stuff back and forth, and the fact that you can see them working inside of it. I set this stuff up with my VAs, and I can actually check and see what they're working on. And you and me do that. We do that like in our Google Docs. We'll both be in there at the same time. It's awesome.
Man, it was just such a genius idea to be able to share the files. I know Dropbox does it as well, and it's just really cool because you could organize it into different folders, different files, different uploads, and you could give specific people access to it. So, for example, if you wanted to, you could literally create a Google Doc folder or a Google Drive folder for your writer, and you could have them submit it into that folder, and then you could give access to your editor that folder. So literally, it's like an assembly line. You don't have to literally get the writing from Odess and then pass it to your editor and then pass it here and go to Fiverr. You could streamline the whole process. So if you're going to get one thing out of this video, everybody who's watching, watch some tutorials on Google Docs, on Google Drive, on Google Sheets. Check out Trello. I mean, these are softwares that are just changing the game. And if you're not into that stuff, roll like Dave Koziel and I. Get yourself a little 3-ring binder. Create some templates. I'm huge into templates, and I just think it really saves a lot of time. Because have you ever had a time, Cody, where you were trying to maybe figure out what the title to a book was, or if it was reviewed, or if you uploaded it to CreateSpace, or if you had it edited? Have you ever had a time where you're just like spending countless amounts of time trying to figure something out?
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy, and the organization, the amount of time that takes away from it is unbelievable.
All right, so I'm going to go back into the comments section and see who else is rocking and rolling with us tonight. Looks like we got Tom Carpenter in the comments section. Says, "What up, guys?"
What's up, Tom?
What's happening, Tom? We got Dave Koziel, of course. We got Sky Sapphire. I just started Amazon FBA. Kindle books are a few months away from me. My books would be on a totally different subject, though, than business. What are your thoughts on that, Cody? I mean, do you have to create Kindle books around business, or could you create Kindle books on literally any topic?
I'd recommend not creating Kindle books in business unless you have a really specific niche. Like even for me, for example, and for you, we've done books in business, but they're really, really niche topics. And I recommend, I can't say, but I know for you, you've been the #1 in topics that you actually don't participate in. You recently sent me a book that is killing it, and in a niche that you personally don't participate in, but finding these different niches, and there's different hobby niches. Now, I do recommend. Here's one thing I do recommend you guys real quick. Don't start making books on like how to cure cancers and goofy stuff like that. I've seen a movement, and that gives Kindle a bad name. Don't start doing that. Do stuff that you and your writers are comfortable with and familiar with and can add value in the niche. The thing with Kindle books is it's got to provide value. That's the most important aspect. And so where can you provide value? Think about in your life what you're good at, what you're passionate about, where you could provide value, and then write books on that.
Yeah, so I had a show the other day with my buddy D1 Bainey, and he talked about one thing that really resonated with me, and you, it's something that we really strive for. And that's when you create a book, you don't just want to create a book just to make a little bit of money. You want to create the best quality book out there. You want to actually, and he said this best, he says you actually want to target, you want to figure out who your target customer is. You want to figure out what their problem is. You want to figure out how you can help them. And you want to start asking yourself questions about who this person is and what you can do to solve their problem. And, you know, there's just so many different topics out there. I mean, just think about someone who's maybe trying to get into or maybe trying to make the baseball team. It sounds stupid, but I bet you there's a lot of people out there, even softball, because I'm actually a part of a softball team, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are looking to improve their swing, people that are looking to hit more home runs, and as stupid as it sounds, there's just so many different topics out there. You can make books on rabbits. You can make books on how to care for your cat. You can make, and I've been looking, the reason I'm talking about animals is because I was just looking at that recently, and there's a lot of people who are looking to, you know, figure out how they can better their relationship with the animal, how to take care of them better. So there's just so many different directions you can go. Now, Cody, would you say that you've stuck with books that you know best, or do you seem to go with, like, have you gone outside your comfort zone and published on books that you don't really know about much just because there was a good opportunity there?
A little bit, but I make sure that my writer can relay the message really, really well. I've gotten to the point where, you know, to me, and I've always been, you know, one good book is better than 10 bad books. But when you're going outside your when you're going outside your passion, that's a great place to start. That's, you know, you're only going to be passionate about so many things. You're only going to know so many things. So when going outside that, make sure that your book actually provides value. I've honestly gone as far as purchasing the top, you know, 2, 3, 4 books in each niche to see if what I can add and what I could do better.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm looking in the comments section. We got our main Louie the Seller in the comments.
Oh, Louie, make sure you watch my video coming up, buddy. I actually, today, I was at the store. I was actually thinking about Louie the Seller because I purchased a New York Yankees hat. Louie's been telling me over and over and over and over, oh, you need to wear a Yankees hat. You need to wear a Yankees hat. I saw a Yankees hat, and I thought, Louie the Seller. And so I purchased a New York Yankees hat. I'm going to be giving Louie a shout-out in a video coming up in a few days, and I bought that hat just for you, buddy.
Yeah, Louie's awesome, man. He's a really good guy, and
I like Louie.
What I like about Louie too is he's very active. He doesn't just talk. I see in a lot of the comments too. He's always taking action. He's always trying new things, and I think that's huge. I mean, a lot of times we get blinded by just our own, you know, our own vision. But sometimes you have to look outside, and you have to just kind of try your hand at something different. And Louie definitely does that. But there's a comment from Louie that says, "What's up, guys? I want to keep it real. In order to learn the process, I wrote a book myself and created my own cover. I admit neither are high-quality work, but I still made $100 with this book. So the sky is the limit."
Awesome.
Yeah, he says the sky is the limit with Kindle. On a side note, the very first writer that I hired and fired on Fiverr is still harassing me for work. LOL. I have about 5 books coming from Odesk. What are your thoughts on that, Cody, man? Louie, he's taking action. $100. First book.
Yeah, I mean, I like his drive. That's why I went out and I bought this hat in honor of Louie. But yeah, I mean, doing what he did. If you're skeptical about getting in or you want to teach yourself the process, he did it perfect. You know, write a book, do the cover, do all those different things, and just get it out there, get started. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, to be able to generate $100, and it's all about, you know, taking action. You can have all the processes. You know, let's make this really clear. I mean, myself and Steve, we have a lot of processes. We make good money doing this. We make good money in several businesses. But keep this in mind, guys. The number one thing myself and Steve have is we took action. We're not any better than any of you. We don't have any special secrets that we're not sharing with you. We don't have any magic potions. We took action, and Louie took action, and he made money, and he'll continuously make money as long as he keeps taking action.
Exactly, exactly. Now, Cody, what are your thoughts on incentives and giving bonuses to your writers? Because I was talking to a friend today, and he asked me, you know, if, you know, like, when do you give, like, your writers bonuses? Like, do you give it to them every time, or only if they do a good job? Or because he said that he was having a hard time finding really good writers, and he's trying to keep the one that he has close. You know, so what are your thoughts on like incentives and bonuses to keep people by your side so they're, you know, on your team for the long term?
Well, I'm a big believer in earning something. So if you have a good writer, just like a good anything, I'm a big believer in taking care of them. And contrary to that, if they're not any good, I'm a big believer in letting them go or firing them. I used to run a big office with over 100 employees. Same thing with Kindle, several writers, several different virtual assistants. If they're good, treat them good and hook them up. I have a writer, and she writes 4 books for me a month right now. She's one of my main writers. And I will tell you guys, I haven't talked about this a lot lately, but I've been experimenting. And my average book right now is coming out to about 10,000 words. So I'm lengthening them a little bit. But she's doing about 4 of those a month. So she's really packing it on for me. And I let her know that for every time she meets a deadline on the books, I give her a $100 bonus, which is, significant, which is probably about as much, if not, close to what I pay her for the book. But she knows that I'll treat her well. And then also I've got a couple writers, and I know a lot of people aren't talking about this. I tell them, okay, put this book together. I'm looking for this quality. We go back and forth on the book. I tell them once the book makes $1,000, I will give you 10%. And I've got 2 writers right now where I'm actually working out royalty deals with, because they're doing and I'm talking high quality work. I mean, this isn't going to be the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week, but it's some good stuff, and they're putting in their heart into this stuff. And so I'm actually working out a couple royalty deals. Remember, virtual assistants aren't throwaway people. They're part of your team. Yeah, it's important because they're turning out to be the best books I've ever had, by far. These couple books I'm doing right now with the royalty deals will probably turn out more money than almost all my other books combined. And so looking at really making them a part of it and making them feel that they're not just some throwaway person from another country. And so there's a lot of options here when it comes to bonuses and things like that. But really let them know that you care. And I do this in every industry, but let them know that they matter and that you care and that you want to give back to them, and that it's not just another cheap book that they're slapping together in bad English.
Yeah, that's huge. It got me thinking too, because I'm not sure if you know this, but on Audible, when you turn your books into audiobooks, there's actually a program that you can use where the narrator will create the book for you for free, but the catch is they get 50% royalties for life.
Yep.
Have you ever thought about...
You know what?
Keep going.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, when you look at something like that, 50% royalties for life. However, if it's a good quality, and it's something you feel like you can sell, I mean, these are things to look at, because a lot of people look at the small picture, not the big picture. It's kind of like those shows Shark Tank. You ever seen somebody on Shark Tank with like this half-wit thing, and you have a chance to go partners with Mark Cuban, but you're like, no, I want to keep my company. Are you kidding me right now? You can partner 50% of something that could be huge with a professional audio voice, as opposed to 100% of some piece of junk that you're messing around with some Logitech microphone in your car, right? I mean, it's just not going to work. And so keep that in mind. And it's the same thing with companies. Everyone's like, no, I want control. Everyone wants to be a CEO, but the CEO of a $10 company is nothing. The CEO of a big deal is worth having. So keep that in mind when you're looking at percentage deals, that having 50% of something that could sell amazing amounts is a lot better than 100% of something that's just worthless.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And one thing I realized lately, this is a little off topic, but I really want to touch on this. I don't want to forget. One thing I realized lately while I was thinking today, I was having some coffee and I was thinking, what's going on in this Kindle market? The one thing I realized is so many people are doing the same exact thing as one another. They're making the same covers. They're doing the same page length. They have the same quality. They have the same writers. They have the same templates. They have the same descriptions. They have the same price. What are your thoughts on that, man? Because is it just, am I crazy, or does it seem like everybody's just mimicking one another?
Man, it's like that in every industry, and I've been talking a lot about that in my videos lately. And I've got some really cool videos coming up talking about this for Kindle and other platforms, that I work on. And it's shocking why everyone does. One of my a popular video I did a long time ago, and it's not on Kindle, it's on Amazon FBA, but it's why I do retail arbitrage on night. And I was able to create systems and clean up on Amazon FBA because I changed the way that I did the business, and that's why I was able to be successful more than most anybody else, these other YouTubers and stuff like that. And the same thing with Kindle. for you and me especially, we're really big on thinking outside the box and doing what everyone else is not doing. I live my entire life on means of what everyone else is not doing. And if you're looking at what everyone else is doing and you're trying to mimic that and get a small piece of the pie, you should be thinking of how you could bake the pie and not how you could get a tiny little sliver.
One of my biggest problems when I had first gotten started on Kindle was I had taken a course, I had taken a few courses, and I literally copied the course to the T. And it helped me a lot, and I give a lot of credit to these courses that I took. But I started seeing the best results when I took the information I learned and I put my own spin on it. I put my own twist on it. And I think a lot goes to show for the creative process. Creativity is huge. I mean, the people that make the most money in this world in business, they're creative, they're innovators, they're always trying something new. And each one, a lot of times we look at ourselves like, we're just normal, we're average Joes, we're not that special. And I mean, maybe we're not the next Einstein, but I think that each one of us has a specialty. We have a gift. We have something that's different and unique and special about us, and you have to find that. When you get creative and you think outside the box and you start putting your own spin on the descriptions, you start messing with the HTML your own way, you start getting really weird with some of the titles and making them different than the crowd and kind of, going outside the box, magical things happen. And my income just shot through the roof when I said, you know what? I'm going to have the courage to try this and do my own thing. Do you have any experience with that, man? Just say, you know what, hell with this. I know this works, but I can do it better.
Yeah, I mean, in my early 20s, that's why a couple of my businesses weren't doing too well, because I was Mr. Bandwagon, and that's the problem a lot of people have, is they jump on the bandwagon. And ever since my mid-20s, I've been doing everything I can to not be like everyone else. And it's not a mission to not be like other people. Right, and I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of great courses out there. I took some of them as well. But you also guys got to realize these courses may be great, but let's say you take a course that's a couple years old. For example, one of the most popular ones is Stefan Plurino's course, which is phenomenal. I think Stefan's an awesome dude. But you got to realize his business evolves. And so he made that course a couple of years ago. And I know he's got, other things in the course and stuff. And like I said, phenomenal course. I give Stefan credit where credit's due. He's an awesome dude. But it evolves. And so even him, I guarantee if you were to look at his business, it has changed dramatically. And you always got to change with the times. You always got to be moving. And too many people are wanting to stand still. And it's the mentality in this society with everyone gets a job, works the same job for 20 years. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to do. It's just a bunch of garbage. With businesses like this, especially online, you got to be thinking about big picture. I know for you and me, we're always talking. We never talk about Kindle next month. We talk about where's Kindle going to be in 2 years. How do we stay ahead of the curve? How do we start implementing today the things that everyone else is going to start implementing in 18 months? And that's how we run our business, and that's why we're able to run it effectively without, doing what everyone else is doing.
Change is going to happen. It always happens with everything, and with any business, things always change. It's always about trying to stay ahead of the curve, right? Trying to figure out where the market's going, where the value really is, what's going to change. And I tell you right now, and Cody and I talked about this before, I predict that, man, even within the next 6 months or a year, something's going to happen with Amazon where they start getting rid of the junk, because there's a lot of junk piling up. There's a lot of people just putting out subpar books with subpar covers, and a lot of the content. I read a lot of books on Kindle. Sometimes before I even get into a market, I'll buy some of the books, and I'll invest $10-15 just to study the competition. And a lot of these books are horrible. And I'm not here to say that my books are the best, but I focus on quality. I make sure that my books are definitely good and add value and can solve somebody's problem. And I think Amazon, they're going to do something. They're either going to switch something up with their algorithm, or they're going to increase the minimum page count, which I think they've done in the past, Cody. I think they used to have where you could publish like any page count, and then they increased it to, I think it was like 10 or 15 pages. But I think they're going to be making changes, and the point I'm trying to make is you've got to look at what's going on, and you got to realize Amazon's a company where they're all about adding value. They want to create relationships, really good relationships with their customers, and that's one thing. If you get anything out of this Hangout, quality is king. It's huge. It's huge. Regardless if you write the book yourself or if you outsource it, you've really got to focus on quality. But with that being said, we actually have a comment in the comment section from Sky Sapphire, and the question is, I am a writer myself, so when you guys talk about hiring one, it sounds strange to me. How does the process work? Do you just give them an outline? You want to touch on that, Cody?
Yeah, so keep in mind, being a writer, that a lot of people who actually write books, there's a lot of ghost writers out there. So if you're a writer, you could be a writer who, creates your own work, but there's a huge market for ghost writers, and that's basically what we're talking about. And so we give them an outline of a topic, we give them a title, a subtitle, and the topic we want to get into. The one thing to keep in mind is these are like pain point books. They're books that basically supply some knowledge on a specific niche. So we're not talking about 100,000 or an 80,000, word manuscript or whatever this is. We're just talking about a pain point book that could be, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 words. With that being said, we give them a brief outline. Usually my outlines, though, are roughly around a paragraph because I'm, with some bullet points, because I'm just saying, okay, I want this on this topic. This is the direction I want to go, and then they run with it.
You see, I'm not even giving an outline anymore because I've gotten to the point where I've worked with my writers so much now, and I've taken the time to train them, and I've created videos for them where they know exactly what I'm looking for. They know what they want. And a lot of times I've noticed, too, with my writers, if I try to take that creative process away from them, not only does it offend them, but it almost brings down the quality of their work because a lot of these writers, they're passionate. They enjoy writing. They're not just doing it for the money because, they could be doing other things to make more money, but a lot of these people really enjoy writing and they enjoy the creative process. So I let them run with it. But when you're first getting started, I guess it would be a good idea to give them an outline. But then again, when I go to hire somebody on Odesk or whatever site you choose, I mean, Odesk especially, you can see their feedback. You can see what they've done. You can see how well they've done. And you can also interview them, which I spend a lot of time interviewing my potential workers. I could do that through the actual Odesk application, and I could do it after I decide to talk to them more through Skype or through Facebook, and you get to feel them out and ask questions. So it's good to kind of have like maybe a notebook of questions that you ask these people, but that's really big. But hiring good people and spending time to find them instead of just like rushing and just like finding the first person that applies to your job, that's not the way to go. Take some time because it's going to save you a lot of time. Have you ever spent, maybe you just rushed or you just maybe didn't do enough due diligence, Cody, and you hired somebody and then you had to spend all this time fixing their work and firing them and finding someone else new?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got going, I didn't ask as many questions. Now I pretty much have 12 questions I asked every writer, and then we're good to go. But making sure you're interviewing them just like any other employee is really important. Like you said, the creativeness is huge. A lot of people want to micromanage, and that doesn't work with creative people. And when I say an outline, I'm talking about the bullet points of where I want the book to go, but I don't actually get involved with the process. So, I'll tell them the main key topics. But other than that, I won't actually get involved in the process because they do what they do. They write. And I see this too often with creative people, whether it be the writers or the covers. You want to let them do their thing. That's the reason you're not doing it. I'm not writing these books, and I just care that they go in a certain direction. And also managing them and getting them to know your workflow is important, like you talked about. I know for both of us, we've used the same writers for a while.
So we got a question from FT Ideas, and I'm going to answer this for you. FT Ideas asked, does this guy live in his car? And before you answer, Cody, I just want to say Cody actually sold his house and everything so he could start a Kindle publishing business. Now he lives in his car.
No, I don't live in a car. Are you kidding me? I'm traveling right now, and so this is a rental car. So I talked about it at the beginning of the show, but I travel for what I do. I mean, I run a lifestyle business, so I can do whatever I want to do. And I'm traveling right now, and unfortunately I got caught in between flights, so I'm in a rental car at a friend's house, and I'm parked out front utilizing the computer here because the house is full of kids. You can probably see some car seats. This is our friend's car seat. I got my kids' car seats, and so I didn't want all the background noise, so I'm actually doing this hangout in the car.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got a question from.
I live in a car. What the
heck? Hey, it's better than your old cardboard box. But the next question is, how much of your profits? This comes from Kelly Roberts. How much of your profits come from the front end versus the back end? When you first started publishing Kindle books, did you worry about the back end, or did you just produce books until you had a good library? I'll touch on this real quick. Most of my profits still come from the front end, and this is something that I wish that I would have set up in the beginning and spent more time on, which I am now doing I'm optimizing my back end and collecting emails and marketing to them and pitching them products and services that could help them. But most of my profits come from the front end. But I definitely recommend that you optimize your books for the back end when you're getting started. But at least for me, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I only knew what I knew when I first got started. If I could go back in time with my knowledge now, I would have done things differently. But most of my profit comes from the back end, from the front end. I'm sorry. How about yourself, Cody?
Yeah, I've always been into the back end because I've always done niche websites and things like that. At this point, I'm getting close to 50-50. So I'm actually really the back end process has really gone big. And we'll get more into this at a later date, but one thing I will tell you guys, how you structure the back end is one of the most crucial things of whether or not it works for you. A lot of people think just slapping in links, that doesn't work. People are immune to that. You actually got to work your links into the book, and I'll talk more about that later, and that'll be in other information. But the back end is probably one of the best ways to make this business work, because now all my Kindle books, honestly, they turn into almost marketing pieces. They're marketing pieces that pay me, and then it gets the people to the bigger picture, because the money's not in the $2.99 or the $2 you get from that sale. The money's on the back end, and that's where you guys should really be focusing.
Question from Louie the Seller. Louie says, this might be a dumb question, but what is the best way to determine if you have hired a great writer? Is it the flow of the writing, the actual content, or the number of sales that you have made from a book written by that specific writer? You want to touch on that?
Yeah, it's definitely not the number of sales, because sales vary depending upon the niche. I would say it's the flow of writing and the quality of the English. A lot of you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
There's definitely a lot of broken English out there. So if you can get something that flows well, doesn't take a ton of editing, and something that really captures, because you got to remember, writing, and I know there's writers in the audience, it's all about telling your story and bringing them in, kind of the same way we got to do with our videos, Steve. And ultimately, if you're able to capture somebody's attention, bring them in, and keep them reading the book, then that to me, that's a success. Some things are going to sell huge, some things are going to sell maybe a little bit less.
And one of the best ways that you could kind of see over time if it is good or bad is based on the reviews. So I've actually set up a system for this where I have a virtual assistant go through all my books, and they pretty much just gather information for me. But it's huge to keep track of your reviews, because people will tell you, they'll be honest with you if the book's good or if the book sucks. Now, again, a lot of people don't leave reviews on Amazon regardless if it's good or bad, but in my opinion, people are more inclined to leave a bad review versus a good review, kind of, just to let you know, I wasted my time with your book. So keep an eye on the reviews. That's key. And, the number of sales, the thing is, when you first release a book, at least from my experience, I noticed that Amazon's, they're really pushing you out a lot, and you're building momentum with the KDP and getting reviews and stuff. It seems like you get a lot more sales in the beginning, and after like a few months, that's kind of the key test in terms of how your book does. So I wouldn't look at the sales. I would really think about it, but check your books out. You could read through them. I hire an editor to edit all my stuff, and that's a second eye on the actual content. So you got to do what you think's best, but definitely the flow, like Cody says. You got to find the native speaking, the English writers, because a lot of these people who aren't, fluent in that type of stuff, it's going to be really choppy. It's not going to read smooth, and it's going to upset a lot of your people who are buying your books and stuff. So that's really huge. Let me see if we have any more questions. Again, we're probably going to be cutting this broadcast short, just because Cody's in the car and he's working off the Wi-Fi, but. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I'm just scanning through right now to see if there's any more questions. While I'm looking, do you want to mention, Cody, our Kindle Business Academy course and what's been going on, what's maybe when it could be dropping and coming out and everything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So we were actually supposed to launch literally a little bit over a month ago. Unfortunately, I actually ended up getting sick, which was a bummer, and then from there it kind of spiraled out of control. We did some changes. Primarily it was my fault. We did some changes with the business. We restructured some things and had to get everything set up. We were literally ready to finalize the site about a week and a half ago, I think, and unfortunately we got hacked. So believe it or not, we got hacked, which I made some changes. I was on the phone with our host for over an hour and a half, and we figured out what happened, made sure that's not able to happen again. So literally we were to the point to submit it, and we wanted to have it launched by now. But the site got hacked, so we had to fix that. And then, like I said, I'm probably going to be in a documentary here soon, so I've been working on that. So I've been traveling, and so there's just been so many things going on. So the course kind of got pushed back. However, myself and Steve are basically in the final stages, and it's going to be launched very, very soon. We wanted to make sure that we just didn't push something out there. I've seen a lot of products that have kind of been pushed out there, and we wanted to be able to be proud of this and stand by the fact that it's going to be pretty much the best in the industry. But it is a bummer that we got pushed back. So just wanted to kind of keep you guys updated. The Kindle Business Academy, or the K Business Academy, still coming out, still going to be the same amazing course. It has just been pushed back, mostly due to my schedule and some things that happen on my end. Steve has been ready to go, ready to get this out, and it will be out very, very soon.
It's definitely both ways. Don't let them take all the credit. But either way, we're going to get this program out to you folks, and we're going to help you out. It's going to be something that we consistently update, and we're going to keep you ahead of the curve. We're going to share with you everything that we experience, the good and the bad. So we're really excited about that. But, we appreciate everybody coming and spending about 45 minutes with us and talking Kindle publishing. We'll be sure to go into the comment section after this video ends and goes live on my YouTube channel. We'll go in there and we'll answer some questions and help you folks out. But we're gonna call it a day right now. But we appreciate you guys watching. Do you have any final words, Cody?
No, I just appreciate you guys watching, and any questions you have, leave them below. We'll be checking the comments, and I'll have some time at the airport, so I'll jump in there as well.
Also, if you guys want to stay up to date with when our course is being dropped and when we have new videos coming out live and everything like that, be sure to sign up for our newsletter, which is kindlebusinessacademy.com. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. But again, you guys, we appreciate you watching, and you know what time it is. Keep on picking up, buddy, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.